I built a custom LEGO Star Wars set based on the Book of Boba Fett, and today we're going to be looking into it. Hey guys, so you may recall that this set was voted on as my 1000 subscriber custom set. Basically, I held a fan vote for that, and the winner was of course the Sanctuary, so I ended up building it, and it took a bit longer than I thought because I ended up doing a few other projects like the Boba Fett's Palace expansion set before it, so sadly it is a bit late, but I decided to release it on May the 4th, because obviously that makes a lot of sense, and if you are watching it on May 4th, then Disney Gallery The Book of Boba Fett will be releasing. Whether you're going to watch that or not is up to you, but I decided that this was going to be the perfect time to reveal this video. Now you've waited long enough, so I might as well just get into it. This set contains 5 minifigures and 825 pieces, so let's get into it. The first figure up is the obvious one. This is Boba Fett. Now, he's pretty much the same as Lego's figure, apart from that he does have the accurate jetpack, and of course the helmet, so that's good. And then under the face he does have a custom face print where he's kind of smiling. I did actually make this for my Boba Fett's Palace set, but I ended up just chucking in this set because I think that it worked really well, and I needed his smile, and then this face print just actually, it ended up like working perfectly, so I decided just to use this in here. The next figure up is Black Chrysanthemum. Now this one is pretty much the same as the one in my Boba Fett's Palace expansion. Again, the Wookiee mold is in mecha brick, so this is the best I could do. Doesn't really look good, but this is my representation of it. It just uses, of course, that Yeti mold, and it works fine. It's like the best I can do again, and obviously definitely not the best. Now I couldn't make this set without the one and only Max Rebo, and of course his headpiece wasn't in mecha bricks, but I did end up just kind of finding a photo which matched perfectly to this render that I made. Then I stick it on top, and you will see later that it's not in every single image. It is on the box art image, but in any group image of the Sanctuary his head will be missing, so I'll just like put that out there before obviously you think anything weird's going on. Some of you may also be confused as to why Max Rebo has no legs, and this is actually an accurate representation, at least I believe, because it's kind of controversial whether his species, the Ortolan, actually have legs or not. Basically, from what it was originally, he was meant to be playing his little keyboard thing with his feet, so that's what I kind of went for here. Lego's official minifigure gave him legs, but here I wanted to give him the accurate representation. This next figure is one that I dislike a lot, not because of the character, but because I really don't like how I did the figure, and I know that that's obviously bad on me, but Garsa's dress was something I really wanted to get right, but sadly because of time stuff, I ended up not being able to custom print her torso. It was a lot of things, a lot of factors that went into it, but sadly I ended up just having to choose one, and this is the best that I got. It's not that accurate. Obviously it looks like Garsa Flip, and this is the best that I think I could do, and I could obviously find, but sadly, obviously the skin tone's a bit off, and it all looks a bit weird. Basically, I'm not happy with this minifigure, but of course, she does have a dual-sided face piece, and really, this figure, like, I really like the face print. I didn't custom make it, I found it, but it worked perfectly. I also couldn't print on the Twi'lek headpiece, which is disappointing, which you'll also see for the next minifigure. So yeah, basically, this figure has no new prints, which I did not like at all, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, next up is the Twi'lek server, who is similar to Garsa, again no new prints, so this is actually the Princess Leia, obviously bikini piece from the Slave Leia minifigure, which does work well. However, you can of course see Princess Leia's skin showing through, which does look really weird, especially on the yellow minifigure. There's also just some Jedi robes for the legs, which I thought worked fine. Overall, I also like the face print because I was able to actually use like yellow minifigure ones, like Lego City face prints. This is like the first time I've ever had to do it in a Star Wars set, but it actually worked really well. Now, obviously, her entire skin color is like a darker yellow than that one, but it did kind of transfer perfectly. And finally, I'll mention that Rex, the droid, is included. Now, he's obviously not a real minifigure, and he's kind of attached to the build, but I do want to mention him. It was a very interesting thing to make, and I went through a lot of design processes, and even though he's a bit oversized, I think that this one is the best one. And here's a group shot of all the minifigures, and without further ado, let's get into what you've been waiting for, the build. And here it is, the Sanctuary. As I said before, this set contains around 825 pieces, and if it was a real LEGO set, I think it would be probably about 100 USD. Now that's a big price per piece, but there are a lot of big plates and big bricks and stuff like that, so it wouldn't surprise me. And again, with 5 minifigures, I am overall pretty happy with how this build turned out. But it's time we go through the little sections. Now first up on the left is the bar section. Now as you can kind of see there is a hinge plate there, and for this and like the Max Rebo instrument stand, you can of course like pull them out. There's no clips actually stopping it. However, I wouldn't recommend doing this, and I don't have any images for it, because it kind of ends up with just an open gap to the outside and it looks really bad. So I think that keeping it like this looks the best. Anyways, this bar contains a variety of different coloured drinks, just to add a pop of colour in there. And obviously there is also room in the bar to put minifigures in. There are also 2 stools on the side if you really want, however they are kind of a bit too high and are actually on the other side of the hinge plate. To the left of that is kind of a random section. There's a bit of a seat there for Black Cassandra. Now this is kind of for him to get up and then obviously beat up the Trandoshans. Now that's not in the set, but I kind of did want to kind of include that as I guess a little reference. And also see a light next to him. Now this is also just something that's in the Sanctuary. This build I'm not entirely happy with. I went through a lot of design methods. This was actually really hard. But this was the best I could actually get, and it's really basic, but that's just something that happens sometimes. Moving on to the middle section now, you can see that the ground is made up of a light tan as opposed to the sand blue, just because that's kind of how the colours work. You'll obviously notice the plants there and also the fabric for the door, and there is also stuff outside which we'll get to later. You can also see a crate there which is actually in the next section, but I'll just mention it here. What's in there is basically just a few tile studs just to represent the coins that the Twi'leks obviously put in Boba Fett's helmet in the first episode. The next open section features a weird thing on the wall that I'm honestly not sure what it is, but it's in the Sanctuary, so of course I included it, and also Rex's table. So you can see there just some random things. This is kind of where the gambling happens. It's just kind of a table with R3X on there, and you can kind of see his like massive size issue now, but that's something that buildable droids are obviously like, that's going to happen. And the final section is of course Max Rebo's little instrument area. Now you may notice that in the show there's obviously a bigger space with a Bith and a droid, but obviously I couldn't include them for just figure limit size, so I kind of had to just shorten it to just Max Rebo. So obviously the thing just came down, and I think that this is the perfect scale for LEGO, and especially for my build this ended up working really well. Now there's also obviously a printed piece which I made, which is on a 1x2x5 brick. Now this is actually the same piece repeated 4 times, but I did a different design on the back, so I was able to duplicate that twice. And here's the set from a top-down view, just so that you can kind of see it more accurately in the size and the angles, and obviously you can see a bit of a teaser, so I'll get into it. Here's the exterior. Now we do see the exterior multiple times in the show. This one is a bit more angled just because of how the interior is, but it's fine. Like honestly, I think it kind of looks better as a display set, and obviously it's just flat on the top, but that's again fine. You're probably not going to display it exterior wise anyways, plus like there's nothing really above there that's interesting. Overall I'm pretty happy with this, and I also love the printed brick, which again is a 1x6 brick that is duplicated so many times there, but it kind of just all blends into one and it ends up looking great. So again, like just a random scribbles and lines, but it works really effectively for obviously what it's based on. And finally, here's the box art. This is definitely my least favorite box art in a while, if I'm honest. Like I really couldn't find a good image for it, for like the background at least, so I ended up with this weird zoomed in thing of like a grey carpet with kind of a grey background. So obviously it does not look the best, definitely. I'm not saying it does. I think that at least to me it looks really ugly, but this is the best I could do, sadly. But yeah, that was the Sanctuary. I hope that was worth the wait. I'm definitely pretty happy with the build, but please let me know your thoughts down below. This definitely is not my favorite custom set I've made, but I am overall pretty happy with how it turned out, at least the build. Other than this, what's coming up next for custom sets, like around Obi-Wan Kenobi's release date around the 25th and 27th, I'll have some custom set vids coming out based on that kind of, so look out for that. And other than that, I'm not really sure past that, so you will of course have to wait and see. However, yeah, have a great May 4th everyone. I know that this is maybe coming early for a few of you, but this is just so that it'll be out on May 4th for everyone. However, yeah, that'll be all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. That'll be all, folks. Goodbye.